Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and Don Lemon got arrested. We're going to go through what has happened since his release. We're going to talk about why he was arrested, some of the analysis of it, what all this means, and where we're going. And we have a lot to cover. Welcome to the program. So Don Lemon got arrested, and then he got released, and I guess he had his husband bring a fresh suit to the jail so he could look good for the press conference, because there's no way that he was he had that suit on when they arrested him, and then he spent the day in jail. And I don't know, did Don Lemon, did he also get a haircut while he was in that jail? He's all made up, looking pretty and all dressed up. I wonder what all his husband brought him. Did he bring him hair products? Did he bring him skin products? Because he got himself looking good for the press conference. But let's play this, and then we'll get into it.
I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
All right, I want to thank you. There's Don Lemon. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. The crime that this mob is being charged with, this Klan Act that you keep hearing people talk about, this is a very, very important law. And I want to talk about this because Don Lemon didn't get arrested on some minor charges here. Don Lemon was arrested on some pretty major charges. And the rest of the people in that group that were charged, these are very serious charges, although you don't think about them, things like this too much in these days. But no, these are very big charges. And this Klan Act, the reason of the Klan Act is because the Democrat Ku Klux Klan was targeting the civil rights activists during the civil rights movement in churches. Because remember, the civil rights movement led by the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he was a minister, and it was made up of a lot of other ministers, and they did their activism in churches. That's where they planned and they organized. And the Democrat KKK was going after them in churches, and that's why this law came about. We don't only have freedom of religion in this country; we have freedom to exercise it without being terrorized. And the Klan Act, people don't think about this too much anymore because it's been so long, and what the liberal education system has done in our country has polluted our history in the history books, right? They don't teach you the real history. They teach you liberal revisionist history. But make no mistake about it, the Ku Klux Klan not only was a Democrat organization, the Ku Klux Klan was a Democrat domestic terrorist organization that was terrorizing African Americans in churches. And that's where this came about. So these laws that Don Lemon and these others in this mob are charged with are anti-terrorism laws. It's much like the Patriot Act was after 9/11. So these are very serious crimes that he is being charged with. And, I know that he's a complete and utter narcissist. We all know this.
How do you feel about this?
He's a crazy person, Don Lemon. And we knew he would come out there all dressed up, just loving all the attention. He thinks this is his ship coming in, right? After CNN, he thinks he's going to be the superstar of the new media. the next Nick Shirley, and that's just not going to happen. Here, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in detail, but first I just want to show you, this is when Don Lemon went with this mob breaking into this church during the church service.
How do you feel about this?
I don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on in the Twin Cities right now, but I don't think it's good to fight fire with fire. I think it's good to speak up. I think it's good to protest, but I think it's better to do it in a peaceful way.
You don't think this is peaceful?
It's trespassing. How would you feel if I went to your house and I started yelling?
I think these people would go inside of anybody's house.
This is a house of God. In the house,
right.
People don't yell at each other.
There's a lot of yelling in my house growing up. We still loved each other.
It doesn't necessarily mean yelling is the answer, right?
No, but I think it's the way you work things out is that you talk to each other, you disagree. I think maybe if the pastor would try to calm things down and say, let's all talk.
I think that it's good to talk. I think protesting on the streets is fine, but I think there's a difference between that and then going into someone's property and then yelling.
Would you be okay with your pastor talking to them?
Yeah, I think conversations will be great. I think we need more communication. I don't necessarily agree with what's going on with the ICE raids and stuff, but I also don't think fire with fire is the answer.
See, this guy's a Democrat. He doesn't even support ICE, and he's outraged at Don Lemon and what this mob did. See, here's the thing. This is not journalism. And I know that a lot of people, oh, well, he's a reporter, he's a journalist. No, this was more than that, okay? And they very well may prove when this gets to trial. And remember, Don Lemon was indicted by a grand jury in Minnesota. So a Minnesota grand jury indicted Don Lemon in this. Okay, so that tells you a lot right there, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. They very well may find and show in court that this whole thing was Don Lemon's idea. You know, the new media, of which I'm a part of, even though I've been in the media my entire life since I was basically a teenager. You know, the new media is where it's at right now. But the new media audience, which is you that are watching me and watch others like me, you're not interested in what Don Lemon is presenting, which is liberal, biased, hack, fake news. In fact, this is textbook fake news, this whole operation. And Don Lemon's new media career has not panned out the way that he thought it would. He thought that, he'd start a YouTube channel and it was going to blow up and everyone was going to be talking about him and he was going to be getting the stories and the interviews, just like Jim Acosta thought with whatever that podcast thing he's doing. I don't even know what platform Acosta's on. And it didn't turn out that way. See, the new media is a place where people that are reporting and discussing the truth are at, me and others. There's a lot of people like me, okay? And you know, bigger than me, smaller than me, same size as me. You know, that's where we're at. You don't go to the new media to hear what you can get on CNN or MSNBC Now, which is what they call it now, MS Now. You want to hear the truth of what's going on. So Don Lemon's YouTube career has not been what he thought it would be. He thought he was going to be a superstar online. And what he was doing here was trying to find a way to go viral. That's it. He was trying to find a way to go viral. And, you know, he very well may have been involved in the whole idea of this. Not only that, we know that he was involved in the planning. I'll show the videos coming up, but he met them in that parking lot. He was hiding their location. He knew about this and future places they were going to go. You can't say, like as an example, me, right? I'm a radio talk show host. I'm a podcaster. I'm a YouTuber. I got everything going on, right? I just went to Starbucks this morning, right? I can't meet a group of people that are getting ready to break in and rob the Starbucks. They tell me everything they're going to do. I don't report them. I don't call the police. And I get my camera out and film them. I've already covered up for them. I know what they're going to do. In fact, they're planning other robberies during the day, and I'm going to go along with those too. And I go in and film this crime. And then say, well, I'm just a journalist. I'm just a reporter. I'm just covering this for my program. It doesn't work that way. This is a major, major crime that Don Lemon and these people were doing. The Klan Act is an anti-domestic terrorism law. Okay, now here he is interviewing before the event, the guy with the voice who also got arrested the other day with this.
People who are wearing the uniform now, you think they're patriots?
I don't think so, especially those ICE agents.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, no, they're terrorists. They're traitors.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Today we had the honor to protest with Nikema Armstrong and the Racial Justice Network. Just like Jesus did, we went into that church and we flipped tables.
What a nut.
Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people?
I mean, this is hard to even believe that it's real, isn't it, when you see it? And this is who Don Lemon was with.
We went into that church and we flipped tables peacefully. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities?
I'm not going to comment.
You have no comment, exactly. As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes.
I mean, look at this. I mean, Don Lemon is in with these people, plotting and conspiring, terrorizing parents, teenagers, young children, and barking in their face and how dare you? Why aren't you doing this?
Doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life.
As he's in there judging everyone, right? But he's the Christian.
While people are starving. Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged
Here he is terrorizing the youth group.
Concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on you. Do something. Stand with the Somalis. Stand with the Latinos. Quit ignoring this injustice. He wears a suit and tie and he hangs out with Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest against this inhumanity?
Oh my goodness, those are well, I guess one of Don Lemon's co-defendants. Can you imagine what it would be like? You're in church on Sunday or Saturday because a lot of people go on. I like to go on Saturdays; it's not quite as crowded. And this happens. Oh, by the way, I got to text my daughter real quick. Hold on. I forgot to text her before I went live. Hold on. She's flying to Los Angeles. All right. Just want to make sure I texted her this morning. All right. So, this is just terrorism. And one of the crazy things about this is these lunatics that Don Lemon led into the church, this lynch mob, right? If you'd like to call in, by the way, please do. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, and it's pinned in the live chat if you're watching live on YouTube. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. Go to your favorite podcast platform and search for The Brian Craig Show. I'll pop right up. If you want to catch the show live in video form, where I'm taking the live calls, that's on YouTube, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. These are the people that are the base of the Democrat Party. Think about that. The ones that were running the country the last 4 years. And Don Lemon knew he did wrong. That's why after this event, he was making all these videos apologizing.
Administration and the fake news magas are losing their mind over something that's not even.
And the black community is a Christian community, and they don't appreciate people being harassed in churches.
These people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. This is a house of peace, and we try to proclaim that. And this stirs division and rancor. And in the end, it's not helpful. Ultimately, I believe they've lost. They've emptied a house of worship. Everybody's gone home. Their point has been proven worthless. And so, in the end, I think they lose.
That's right.
But more importantly, if I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, cause derision and upset according to their values, I would be kicked out ultimately.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And this is not only a house of worship, which is the federal crime, this domestic terrorism law, the Klan Act that was violated, right? They're also terrorizing children. Scary stuff, isn't it? I mean, I just cannot imagine. And you remember just a few short months ago, there was a mass shooting at a church where children were murdered in the Minneapolis city limits because Mayor Fry showed up. That's the first time I saw Mayor Fry. And believe me, the people in this church know. So here you are in a town where there was a mass shooting in a church just a couple of short months ago, and you break in like this, my goodness. You if you're a parent, you've got to be thinking, oh my, here we go again, right? If you'd like to call in, the number's 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian.
Hey, Richie.
How you doing today?
All right.
Yeah. I think that they should throw the book at all these guys because
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, especially Don Lemon.
Yep.
I mean, he's like because if they let this go down, you'll see this all over the place.
See, I think the chances are he helped organize the whole thing to try to get this viral moment going on. He may have even come up with the idea.
Yeah. Now I'm going to throw something at you. You know, I'm also against. I hope I can expand this a little bit. I believe in the First Amendment, but I don't believe that these dirtbags or anybody has the right to verbally abuse, blow whistles, blow horns, play blast music, throw water bottles, and in the case of like Minnesota, they're like ice. They're projectiles that hit in the head, they'll kill you. I mean, I'm against all of this crap.
Well,
I mean,
same people are.
Yeah, but they got. You mentioned something. You said that Emily is flying out to Los Angeles. I don't know if you're aware of what happened last night in Los Angeles, and they say they're coming back today at 2:00.
Yeah, I know.
It was a riot.
Why do you think I just texted her?
It's disgusting, man.
I know. I'm a little concerned. She went out there. She's got a storage unit with some of her things there, so she's going out to get that and visit some friends. And it's a bad day. I haven't heard back from her yet. I'm not sure what time she gets in.
Yeah, well, I watched these guys taunting police last night, and I watch it in Minnesota, and I watch ICE, and then they got these liberal judges that go out and tell these police officers they can't use tear gas. And then they say that they tell the police, well, you're the professionals, you have to de-escalate. They take advantage of these police officers that de-escalate.
Well, you know,
and it's obvious
I want to try to stay in here on the church. You know, this is also trespass. You guys may remember a couple years back when Steve Kane and I had that personal appearance at that mall, and the mall manager came out with a gun, and he had a gun on his belt, and he had an arm.
And you left.
Well, he told us to leave. He said you got to leave.
Yeah,
and if you watch that video, I left, and a lot of people said, "Well, Brian, why didn't you stand your ground? Why'd you leave?" Because it's private property, and when they ask you to leave and you don't, you're trespassing. So and you can get arrested for trespassing. You know, I would be violating the law if I didn't do that. And Don Lemon and this crew conspired, broke major federal crimes, and they also broke trespassing laws, which are not minor crimes. Trespassing on its own is a serious crime.
Well, I'll bring it down to this. You're in a house. You're in a house right now, and somebody decides that they're going to rob your house, and they're going to hold you and your wife, and hold you hostage there while they loot your house. And then they got a guy like Don Lemon coming in there with his
interviewing me
stuff.
while it's going on.
Interviewing you while all the robbery is going on. That doesn't excuse him from the crime. He's part of the crime, and that's exactly why Don Lemon's got to go
he's
down.
got this. If you look at this interview, I'm showing it. He's using the same kind of mic I have on my shirt, a DJI mic.
Yeah.
This DJI mic is not a license to go out and do crime. I can't go around and take part in criminal activities and interview people while I'm doing it and say, well, I'm a journalist. It's just for my YouTube channel. And that's crazy.
Well, you won't even go to a protest if you think it's going to get out of control.
I go to some of them. You saw me. I went to that Tesla protest. I went to the No Kings.
But you're smart about it. You're not going to get involved and if it gets hairy, you're out of it.
Well, I've been attacked. I've been attacked by people at protests. You know?
The country right now is in terrible shape. We got crazy people in office. We got crazy people and preaching to people who go out, take to the streets with whistles. I mean, it's just and let me tell you, he's going to go in front of. If he goes to Minnesota, there's going to be a judge that's going to let him go because connected.
I wouldn't be so sure.
I mean, this guy is going to walk.
I wouldn't be so sure. I would not be. I wouldn't be
I
so
would
sure.
hope-
You're always a Debbie Downer, and no one's ever going to go to anywhere. Everything's always doom and gloom
No,
with you.
that's not that.
They got
It's not that.
listen.
You gotta
Hold
look
on
at
a
it.
second. Think about this. They got an indictment from a Minnesota grand jury. You know, people in Minnesota. Now, I'm not talking about this guy with the voice and these lunatic activists like Preddy and Renee Good. Regular people in Minnesota, even liberal ones like the ones in this church, they're fed up with this crap. Okay? They had that church shooting a few months ago, and then they have this. I would not be so sure that he's not. They're not going to get a conviction on. Now they may not get they may not get a conviction on everything they're going after, but no, it's very possible to get a conviction. These are serious federal crimes. If we didn't have the videotapes made by Don Lemon himself, you might be right. All right, Richie, appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. If you're on hold, stand by. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Mother, father, and child. And look at the dad holding his child. These are the types of people that are in the jury pool in Minnesota. See, what they did here is it's not just that they went after a church. They went after a Minnesota church with Democrats, because most people in Minnesota are Democrats. And, you know, people in Minnesota are so fed up, not just with the illegals and the violent criminals from the illegals, but they've got the major financial crimes from the Somali pirates.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Justice for Renee Good! Justice for Renee Good! Hands up! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Said hands up, don't shoot. They're doing that Michael Brown thing, which was a lie.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! This is the house of God, and
See, I mean, you know, people in Minnesota that have had to live through this crap are pretty darn fed up. They very well could get convictions on all of them, including Don Lemon. I want to talk about Joe Thomas and annuities. Annuities are absolutely amazing. You know, when I first met Joe Thomas, I did not know anything about annuities. I've heard people talk about them, even on the radio, for years and years and years, and I never heard anyone talk about them like Joe Thomas did. And in 5 minutes, after he explained to me what annuities are and how annuities work. I was like, why isn't everybody in annuities? You know, with annuities, your money is never at risk. That's right. Your money is never at risk. And you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. It doesn't get better than that. And there's all kinds of different types of annuities for different things and different people, depending on what your goals are. You know, there's annuities that give you a bonus right out the gate, 10% on your money on day one, some even more than that. Joe Thomas will tell you about that. And there's many other types of annuities. Give Joe Thomas a call. It's a no-charge consultation no matter where you're located in the United States. He can help you. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. Back after this. On the line, we have Frank. He's a listener and he's a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. Frank, welcome. So, Frank, could you tell me how Jupiter Joe Thomas helped you?
What he's advertising today and putting out there is a fantastic product for people like me, and there's millions of people like me that want a good, sound investment, and they want a good, sound, caring, loving investment advisor, and that's Jupiter Joe. He's in the business for like 30 years, and he knows his business. Him and his family make you feel so comfortable. You sit down, and he gives you a real full analysis of what's going on and what he has to offer. And I got into these income streams, these streaming products, and I jumped on it right away. And when he told me what I'm going to get, and I'm getting it right now, and on one of them, I was amazed. He doubled what this other so-called investment advisor was offering me, and I'm jumping for joy.
Do what Frank did. Call Jupiter Joe Thomas right now. Schedule your no-charge consultation. Talk to Joe Thomas about annuities and be guaranteed income every month for the rest of your life. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999 and online, jupiterjoe.com. What if we've been asking the wrong questions about aliens all along? When people talk about non-human intelligence, they look to the skies, to UAPs, to massive craft and towering beings. But what if some of them have been here the entire time, much smaller and hiding in plain sight? In When the Fae Came, available online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon, author Martin Thomas explores a provocative idea that the beings we've called fairies, elves, dwarfs, and goblins may not be myth at all, but advanced non-human intelligences. Drawing from global sightings and early research, When the Fae Came connects underground and underwater colonies across places like Mexico, Canada, Malaysia, and Europe. Beings capable of invisibility, flight, and telepathic communication. This isn't fantasy. It's an investigation into how ancient stories may be misunderstood encounters with something real. If you're curious about where folklore ends and non-human intelligence begins, When the Fae Came asks questions most researchers avoid. Order your copy of When the Fae Came from author Martin Thomas online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, available wherever you get podcast. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Ivan from the Bronx.
Hey, Ivan.
Morning. I think he's going to plea in. You know, he's looking at 10 years for the civil charge and 6 months for the face charge. And I think he's going to plea with that. You know, he might pay a fine. He's worth $20 million. You know, so.
Do you really think the Trump Justice Department wants to take a plea deal and plea it down with no jail time?
You know, well, it's up to the judge if they give him. That's another variable. You know, you might get a liberal judge. You know,
you may not.
I guess we'll see. You know.
You know, isn't it interesting how everyone assumes liberal judges are just corrupt? Dishonest, lying judges.
Yeah.
Nobody has any. There's no one in this country has any faith in liberal judges. Even liberals assume their judges are corrupt judges. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? Isn't it sad?
It is bad. It is bad, and it's like a bad roll of dice. You know, Every time I think about these judges, that's all I think about, these corrupt judges, you know, especially in blue states.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I know. It's pretty bad. It's as bad gets. But remember, they got they got this indictment from a Minnesota grand jury. So Minnesota citizens called for jury duty, brought this indictment. And I think that tells you a lot about the tone of regular people that aren't lunatic activists in Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot. And his tape is so damaging.
Oh, isn't it?
From the beginning, from A to Z, you know, it is so damaging.
Absolutely.
You know, let alone the potential witnesses that, you know, made allegations against him with the DOJ. But the tape is undeniable, direct evidence.
I really believe that the chances are is that he came up with, that he was he may have come up with the whole idea. He was so desperate to be relevant and important again, and he was looking for a viral moment, you know, and he thought this was it. Now he is going viral now, but in the long run, is it good? I mean, what he did was that is criminal. I can't go out and embed myself with bank robbers, not tell the police that they're going to rob the bank, film them while they're conspiring and everything, go on them with the bank robberies, and post it online and say, well, I'm just a journalist, you know. Because with these guys, this Klan Act is a serious federal crime, it's an anti-domestic terrorist law.
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years. And I didn't think about him going up there and, you know, coming up with this idea. That's a good one. That's actually a good one. That's thinking out of the box.
Well, you know,
I would have ruled it out because he's just that crazy.
Well,
you know?
his YouTube career isn't going that well. People that people like you are the audience for the new media, right? Shows like mine, and there's a lot of people like me, right? Don Lemon, there's no audience for that in the new media. You can get that on television. This is where people that are fed up with the mainstream traditional legacy media go. So things have not gone well. He thought he was going to go to YouTube and be a big superstar. He just because he's Don Lemon, and it didn't turn out that way. And and you see this a lot. Like as an example, Megyn Kelly has for the last couple of months has been sucking up to Candace Owens a lot. She's trying to get this Candace, she's trying to get this Candace Owens interview because she's desperate to try to get that audience. A lot of these big time, a lot of these big time influencers, they do a lot of stupid things. Whether it's an Instagram influencer taking pictures on the edge of a cliff and then they fall over and die, or it's it's political influencers like Megyn Kelly or Don Lemon who do stupid things to try to go viral involving news and politics, and they do stupid things.
Yeah, that really was bad. That was so bad. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
If he pulled this in Florida, he'd be very dangerous. You did this. If you did this in Florida or Texas, you could get shot.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy physical altercation. Easy.
Yeah, people are strapped in Texas and in Florida. In Texas and Florida, there are always people strapped. I don't take my gun to church, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You know, you got a lot of crazies out there, you know. People take that to heart, you know, to go up there and take the time out to do this thing, to go to church, you know, make a connection with God, and then to have these idiot box go over there and just tear it up, disrupt it, be very obnoxious, yell at you, terrorize.
It's terrorism.
People and kids.
It is literally
that really was horrible.
The Klan Act is the Klan are a Democrat organization, no doubt, the Ku Klux Klan, but they were also domestic terrorists, terrorizing black people in churches to try to stop them from organizing during the Civil Rights Movement. That's why we have these laws.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think you're right. You know, I didn't think of that in regards to him planning it out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know, I'm very suspicious of that because he's desperate to be relevant. Desperate to be relevant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, people all, you know, yeah. I know people, you know, you don't think I've had opportunities to get, people have approached me, oh, why don't you do this? I don't do any of that stupid stuff. I would never do anything illegal, but I mean stunts. Right. I'm not into stunts, and I'm not into talking to Nazis and anti-Semites and Holocaust deniers or anything else for views. You know, I'm not into that. And people, when you do that, you know, it's an escalation. And I think Don Lemon did it out of desperation. He really did it out of desperation.
Yeah,
and he's also psychotic.
Yeah, I think so too. Mm-hmm. I think so too. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
All right. Well, listen.
I mean, I don't follow him.
Yeah. Well, that's that's his problem. None of us follow him.
Credible.
None of us follow him, but we'll hear about him, and so we'll talk about him. I don't watch his show. He did a show last night. I didn't watch it. Now that doesn't mean I didn't see a clip of it on X that was posted. No one. That's his problem. No one watches his program. You know, no one watches his program.
We got to win the midterms. Whatever happens, we all have to vote, and we got to win the midterms. That is so critical.
If we swamp them at the polls, we will win. If we have a large voting turnout, we will win.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, listen, I appreciate the call from the Bronx.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Have a great day. Be safe, okay?
You too. All right, you too. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're at. And if you're watching on YouTube Live, the number's pinned in the chat. Before I get to the other stories, I referenced this yesterday on the show. I was waiting for the president to come on the other day, and I had Right Side Broadcasting on, and they interviewed a woman in China who was talking about Minnesota, and she was describing it as a communist revolution. She's got a new book. This is not a paid advertisement or anything, but I saw her interviewed on Right Side Broadcasting. She had a new book, just came out this month, and I was talking about, I got the book. I've started reading it. I've been very busy the last couple of days. My wife ordered it like while she was still on Right Side. And it came the next day. I couldn't believe it. And it's called, she's from China. She knows all about the CCP. And the title of the book is Made in America, The Hidden History of How the U.S. Enabled Communist China and Created Our Greatest Threat. And her name is, I guess, X-I. You say, is that pronounced Z? Z Van Fleet. And it's a very good book. And it's very informative. I was talking yesterday on the show. Right in the beginning of the book, she talks about how China was recently trying to build 2 airports in Greenland. Say Trump was right. So anyway, Made in America is the name of the book, and I've just started reading it. Okay, I'm not even finished with the first chapter, but it's what I've read so far is very good. And I watched her whole interview on Right Side Broadcasting the other day, and I was pretty impressed with her. To get the book so quick, yeah, she's very good. I've never heard of her before. Maybe some of you have. She has another book before this one called Mao's America. Maybe I'll read that one next. But and by the way, the book is well written. Okay, the little of I read so far, it's not boring, right? It's not academic. It's very interesting. Now, yesterday, I saw the microphones. I was like, oh, Don Lemon will be coming out, and then this woman comes out. And I thought, what? Well, that must be Don Lemon's lawyer. I didn't recognize this woman. And then when she started talking, I recognized her voice. It was Jane Fonda. I'd not seen Jane Fonda in a long time. I have no use for Jane Fonda. She's a traitor. You know, what she did in North Vietnam is disgusting. And she still defends herself for her traitor actions in North Vietnam during the war. But here she is. This is Jane Fonda. Her voice hasn't changed, but she's not recognizable.
Oh, I know Don Lemon. My husband created CNN, and I will fight for their right to speak, which is guaranteed in our Constitution. They arrested the wrong Don. Don Lemon.
Oh, Boy, how long did it take Jane Fonda to come up with that line? Or did someone write it for her? They arrested the wrong Don. How clever.
Oh, I know Don Lemon. My husband created CNN, and I will fight for their right to speak, which is guaranteed in our Constitution. They arrested the wrong Don. Don Lemon is a professional journalist. He and his producer were...
Has she not changed? I mean, my goodness. I haven't seen Jane Fonda in a long time. Hanoi Jane, yeah. But my goodness. Can you believe she used to be a sex symbol?
Doing their job. Nothing more, nothing less. And he's been arrested. And they'll make up all kinds of defamatory things to say about him. That's what they're doing. This is how autocrats act. We can't fall for it. We have to speak up.
You know, tell you just on a side note about Jane Fonda. When I was in college, you know, I took psychology. You know, you got to take psychology 101. Everybody has to take that. And there was a part of the course that talked about the history of mental illness in the Fonda family, and it went way back. Everyone in the Fonda family have severe mental illness, so much so that it was taught in my college psychology class. I couldn't believe it. It was pretty interesting. So that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Jane Fonda here.
Say about him. That's what they're doing. This is how autocrats act. We can't fall for it. We have to speak up. When a red line is crossed like this, we cannot be silent.
All right, Barbarella. Okay, so, you know, the thing about Jane Fonda here, look what they did to President Trump. How many times was President Trump arrested? Bragg in New York, right? They did a Florida arrest and after they broke into Mar-a-Lago. So remember, he had to surrender in Miami. Then, where they finally got their mugshot in Fulton County, Georgia. But before they did that, they broke into his lawyer's office, Michael Cohen, ransacked Michael Cohen's office, the president's lawyer, fishing for information to use against Trump. They found nothing. They put 2 of his campaign managers in jail, right? They arrested other lawyers of his and threatened them with jail in Fulton County, and arrested around 16 or so of staffers, including attorneys, all around Donald Trump. And now all of a sudden there's red lines been crossed and the politicization of the Justice Department. He broke the law. Don Lemon broke a major law. But they didn't. And by the way, after they did all those arrests and none of it went the way that they wanted it to, what did they do? They shot President Trump in Butler. And when they missed, they tried to do it again at the golf course. And then after that, they kind of just got used to the idea that he's Superman and invincible.
We need to remind ourselves.
This is the Jamil Hill girl, idiot.
Of the racial element of this.
Oh, the racial element. They're playing the race card. Are you kidding me? The racial element. Where's the racial element? There's there's a criminal element with Don Lemon.
We need to remind ourselves of the racial element of this. There is a reason why I think Donald Trump not only picked independent journalists, but black journalists in particular.
Oh,
clearly, we know
he was the only one that broke into a church, leading a lynch mob into a church. It has nothing to do with his skin color.
There's no love lost between Don Lemon and Donald Trump. That he's been very critical of the president. The president they've gone back and forth. But if we go back and undo all the layers of all of this, it was black journalists that were really at the forefront of calling Donald Trump out, from the birtherism movement throughout a lot.
The birtherism, the birth certificate, was not started by President Trump. It was started by Hillary Clinton and her campaign during the Democrat primary in 2008. Okay? And they seem to have forgotten that.
Of the things that they saw early before the rest of the press really picked up on some of the things that concerned a lot of black journalists. Hello, me, who also called out Donald Trump in 2017.
For what?
And the reason why I think he picked these particular journalists is being independent. You don't have the backing of a CNN. You don't have the backing of a big network. The other part of it, too, is that if you can make them the face of this issue that is happening in Minneapolis, we know that given some of the racial issues that we have in this country, it is likely.
What racial issues do we have in 2026 that's negative for African Americans? Has that all not been resolved? desperation here. The race card in 2026, get out of town.
To have a lot less sympathy because they are journalists, one, and people hate the press, and two, because they're black. And so I do think that that's an important part of this, especially given the president's own language when it comes to anti-DEI and making black people the face of woke and all that we've heard from this administration. All of this is combined together and meant to drum up a certain sentiment against these journalists so that people are supporting their own rights being eroded because of who they think it's happening to.
What would happen if Benny Johnson and Ben Shapiro did this exact thing at a mosque? What do you think you would be hearing on CNN? I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's more to share. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's pinned in the live chat. If you're watching live on YouTube, it's toll-free. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available wherever you get your podcast. We'll be right back. I want to share with you the most chaotic, funny Dungeons & Dragons podcast with an absolutely insane premise that is sure to take the podcast world by storm. Roll for Rivals, hosted by Judah and produced by Dice Clash Chronicles, breaks the mold by having a split perspective podcast where the players are incentivized to fight one another. This villain group is running around spreading chaos while the heroes are chasing them down, picking up the pieces. If this sounds interesting, or if you want to support the idea, go check out Roll for Rivals on all podcatchers or follow their social media, roll_for_rivals on Instagram and roll.for.rivals on TikTok. And to quote Judah from the show, roll high, play bold, and let the rivalries begin. Valentine's Day's coming up. Skip the flowers that fade and give the gift that lasts every single night. MyPillow has incredible Valentine's deals on pillows, sheets, towels, and more. Perfect for the one you love or yourself. Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout for huge savings, or call 1-800-716-4879. Better sleep, better mornings, a better Valentine's Day. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code KANE. Looking for a fun game that doesn't take itself too seriously? Then check out Dud, Detective Ulysses Day. It's a comedy adventure game where sneaking, disguises, and ridiculous decisions are all part of the plan. When trouble strikes, they don't call the law, they call Dud, a private detective who's willing to get down and dirty to crack the case. You'll play as Ulysses Day as he sneaks into villain hideouts, gathers clues, dodges danger, and somehow survives one wacky surprise after another. Dud, Detective Ulysses Day is fun for all ages and all levels of gaming experience. And yes, things can get seriously silly. Hired to recover a stolen will, Dud takes on shady suspects, intimidating goons, and awkward situations he definitely wasn't trained for. He's not a superhero, but he never backs down. Find Dud, Detective Ulysses Day in the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and Steam for just $4.99. Dud, Detective Ulysses Day. Start playing right now.
Hi, it's Dr. Philip Appleton. You've been hearing my commercials about bye-bye pain, my laser weight treatment, but today's commercial and today's spot is going to be on Tom Laporta, Laporta Roofing. What an experience I've had with him and his company. They've done a few of my friends' houses and my son and my house, and there's never a downtime. They're old school, which means you call them up, they'll be there. How many times have you called somebody up and they never show up, or they give you an excuse, weather, traffic, whatever? Tom Laporta, what a class act, the workmanship, the magnificent teamwork they have. I recommend them 100%.
Thanks, Dr. Appleton. Now do what Dr. Appleton did. Pick up your phone and call Tom Laporta from Laporta Roofing on your cell phone. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Thanks for joining. If you're new, make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. All right, so Megyn Kelly, she had a very interesting take on this because, I get, so far, I'm not saying they're equal because no one pays attention to Don Lemon's show. He's kind of like just a scandalous figure, an annoyance that people know about, but they don't follow his program. Megyn Kelly, though, because she comes from Fox and he comes from CNN, and they both had these primetime shows at night, she's kind of on his level to a certain extent so far as giving some analysis. And Megyn Kelly, which, by the way, that image she has behind her on her podcast, is that supposed to be a rose or something else? I'm not going to say what the other thing is. What is that all about? Little too much girl power, femininity going on over there. But Megyn Kelly, though, she had some very, I thought, brilliant analysis on this Don Lemon lynch mob into the church in Minneapolis. And she used something that happened with her at Fox News to show how criminal Don Lemon was. And I may play it because I thought, well, that's pretty good, Megyn Kelly. Listen.
I mean, I'm thinking back to the very first big story I covered for Fox News, which was the Duke Lacrosse fake rape case.
Now that Duke Lacrosse, now this is, that was the first time Stephen Miller made the national stage, right? He was a conservative writer at the newspaper at Duke, and he was out there exposing the truth and defending that lacrosse team. And look where he's at now, huh?
We were all over Durham. We found the accuser. No one else had found her. She was not being named by the press. We found her name. We found where she lived. Nobody knew. It was in this very sketchy neighborhood. We were told by the cops not to go there, but we did anyway. In other words, they were worried for our safety, but we went into the neighborhood anyway, and we found her house.
By the way, was her name Divine Brown, or was that another prostitute involved somewhere? I can't remember. Divine Brown, is that the Duke Lacrosse girl?
She was in it. We knew she was in there. Do you think I would have loved to go in there with my photog and get a picture of her on camera? You bet I would have. Why didn't I? Because it's not legal.
Correct.
That's private property.
Exactly.
And when I put it to you in terms of a person's home, it's very easy to understand, right? Of course you can't do that. If you were in the middle of a news story, could CBS News come through your front door and photograph you? Could the New York Times? Of course not. Why? Because that's your private property and they don't have permission. So that's just one reason you can't do it. It would be trespass.
Yeah, you can go to someone's house and film out on the public sidewalk.
It would be a criminal act of trespass. And every news organization, every single...
In fact, if you go to my video that I did at the Tesla protest with those liberal animals that were stalking me and everything, and you go back and watch that video, I'm walking down the sidewalk and I'm being accosted by all these liberal lunatics, senior citizens and stuff. You saw with their rainbow flags and everything. And I go to walk around them, and I stepped on the grass in front of the Tesla dealership, and a police officer came and says, oh, that's Tesla property. You got to get off there, private property, right? And what did I do? I got off the grass. I would have been trespassing if I did not get off the grass at the Tesla dealership.
One out there right now that's saying, this is an outrage. He did nothing wrong. Absolutely knows this, but they are ignoring it. But Don Lemon is in so much more trouble than that, because he did not just trespass into somebody's private property, which a church is. Absolutely is.
Yep.
He did not have an invitation to be there, and he trespassed.
And they asked him to
leave. He made the colossal blunder of doing it into a house of worship in the middle of a religious service. That was a colossal blunder.
Yeah. I think her analysis is pretty good, don't you guys think, Megyn? Yeah, about the Duke case and everything else. Calling yourself a journalist does not give you license to trespass, to break in places, to conspire with criminals and film them doing their crimes. It doesn't work that way. If you could do that, every documentary filmmaker that wanted to be famous would just hang out with criminals and follow them around as they did crime all day, and then they release these documentary films. You can't do that. It's criminal. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Doc from Texas.
Hey,
How
Doc.
are you this morning?
All right. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to say, you talking about Don Lemon. Let's talk about Trump, Elon Musk, all them names in the Epstein files that came out yesterday.
No.
Let's talk about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Doc. You can get your own show, and you can talk about that every day, all day. This is my show, and this is what I'm talking about.
Talk about it because you know his name is in there, and you can talk about Don Lemon all you
I'm
want.
I'm only going to say one thing about the Epstein files. What came out yesterday showed that they had an anonymous tip line, and people were making crank calls from Australia and saying Trump's name, and they were logged. But no, I'm not talking.
Right,
you mentioned Epstein. If you don't talk about the topic of the day, you're gone. It's not open phones today.
Okay, let me talk about Don Lemon. Okay, let me talk about Don Lemon.
Yes.
Y'all, you sitting up there, Don Lemon didn't do anything wrong. And y'all know he didn't do anything wrong. Y'all going after him because Trump doesn't like Don Lemon. And I wish after all this over with, he sued the hell out of Donald Trump.
Donald Trump didn't arrest him. He's not the attorney general. President Trump's not the attorney general.
He had him arrested. And
really?
He had him arrested. And that's
really? There's a document about that? You have a document of that? You have some evidence of that? Excuse me. Do you have evidence of that?
He's smart. He's not going. His name's not going to be on nothing because he's smart enough not to have his name on nothing.
Oh, okay. So there is no evidence. So there is no evidence. You're just making crap up.
Right. He's smart. He's smart not to put his name on that because Trump is smart. I give it that he's smart. He's going to let everybody go to jail but him.
You can't. Breaking into a church is against federal law.
Right. He did not break into the church. He walked through the front door, Brian. That's not even breaking and entering.
No, they broke in. They broke in and disrupted, and they were asked. And they were asked by the minister and others in the church to leave, and they refused to leave. No, that's when it becomes criminal. Yeah, it is.
That's not Brian. I guarantee you. Why did they let him go with no charge? Why did they let him go with no bond yesterday?
Because the reason that Don Lemon was allowed to, he was released without bail, right? Didn't have to put up any money, is because he's a first-time offender with no criminal record. He's not a flight risk. Excuse me. I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question. He has no criminal record. He's not a flight risk, right? Because he loves the attention too much. He's also one of the most famous men in the world, certainly in the United States. He couldn't go anywhere without being recognized. He's not a flight risk.
If they wanted to hold him, they would have held him. Because they couldn't hold him. And
no, they could have.
If they want to hold, if they want to, they'd have held him. And
there's no need to. All right, Doc, I can't talk while you're interrupting constantly. When you're a first-time offender with no criminal record, it's not unusual to get released with no bail. And he's not a flight risk for a number of reasons. They know he's not going anywhere. If you couldn't find Don Lemon, all you got to do is have a camera and a microphone, and he'll run to it. You know, like I've got these toys for my cats. You know, if I I've got like this fake mouse with a bell on the end of a fishing pole. If I went to grab it right now and shook it a couple times, my cats will come running. They love that thing. Don Lemon, it's the same thing. You just put up a TV camera and a microphone, and boom, he's right there. You can always find Don Lemon. Here's Don Lemon leaving the courtroom with his fresh suit that his husband brought him.
Don, the indictment says that you protected the address. You protected the element of surprise. You kissed the organizer on camera. Do you consider yourself a participant or a journalist? We on your side, Don. Participating by saying don't we got your back, Don.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself a participant or a journalist? Yeah, he's kissing the people that are doing it. That's a participant.
Catalyst for, or the inspiration for people to say, finally, stand up to the powers that be in our government. And also, quite frankly, having come from corporate media for a long time, to stand up to the gatekeepers, the corporations, and say, no, I am not going to bend the knee to this administration. I am not going to put on liars and insurrection deniers and election deniers. I'm not going to give my platform to those people. I'm not going to put people on television and give them a platform, people who come on just to lie and to offend and to insult people.
Well, wait a minute. They were just lying and trying to offend, and they were insulting the churchgoers. You've got your coffee. You've got your jewelry. Why aren't you standing out there with your Somali brothers and sisters? Here he is, posing. Don Lemon. I need sunglasses. He wants sunglasses so he looks cool. Look at him. He's just been arrested by the feds. He's such a narcissist. He can't stop smiling and laughing on camera. He is loving this. You know what this is like? This is like, you ever see Sunset Boulevard? Great movie. I've seen it a bunch of times. Even saw the Broadway show with Glenn Close. It's like Norma Desmond when she's getting arrested at the end of Sunset Boulevard. She sees all the lights from the press and she's all excited because she loves to be on camera, even though she's being arrested. That's what Don Lemon's like. He's like Norma Desmond at the end of Sunset Boulevard.
Need sunglasses.
Here.
How are you? Wow. Can everybody hear me? Are you guys set?
Look at him. He can't stop smiling. He's loving it.
So look, I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I had no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of others.
Yeah, but see, what he did here was manufacture news, right? Because he was embedded with them and conspiring with them.
Journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
Boy, oh boy, I don't think I've ever seen someone who just got arrested by the feds and spent the night in jail. I don't think I've ever seen somebody as excited as Don Lemon. This guy is loving it. Here's another angle.
I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. Yes. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. Yeah. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again.
Okay. You know, I've seen this in my career. I've known people over the years who fantasize and make up that people are threatening them. There was one guy, some of you may remember, there was this one guy that I worked with at a radio station a long time ago. He didn't like me and I didn't like him. Rick Siderman. Have any of you been with me long enough to remember Rick Siderman? This was in the early days of my career. And he was a jerk off the air, on the air, just a nasty guy. And he was a conservative on the radio, very nasty, you know. And even off the air. And he and I did not get along. I was really young at the time. I was like 19, 20. He was like 50. He was like my age that I am now, but I was like 19 or 20. And I was getting a lot of attention, and it freaked him out. But he was afraid he was afraid that he was on his way out for whatever reason. And then he started concocting this thing that he was getting death threats. And then he started doing this thing that was so bizarre. And he got it out of a movie. When his car was in the parking lot, before he would start his car, he would get in the car. He would not shut the door. This was in the parking lot of the radio station. He would leave the door open and not put his seatbelt on. Then he would start the car. And after the car was running for just a bit, then he'd shut the door and put his seatbelt on and drive away. And what he said was he was doing that to make sure no one put a bomb in his car, that he had been told by police that if there's a bomb in your car, if you leave the door open and you have your seatbelt off, the blast will blow you out of the car. So every day he'd get off the air, he'd start his car up with the door open with his seatbelt off, like clockwork. It was so ridiculous. I've known others. I've got a bunch of stories like that of people I've worked with. And it's always been people that are on they're either very insecure or feel they're on their way out. And then they concoct that people want to hurt them, people want to do this to them, to give them credibility, that what they're saying, what they're reporting, what they're talking about is so important and so big that the powers that be, there are people out there trying to arrest them or kill them for reporting it. And that's what Don Lemon's doing here at this press conference, right? What he's reporting, what he's saying is just, it's the powers that be that run this country in Washington can't handle it. They're trying to stop the truth from coming out. It's all crap. It's like Rick Siderman with the car door open when he started it every day. By the way, that was in Casino, but it was in other movies too.
Right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You're pretty much already silenced because no one's interested in anything you have to say on your program. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Aaron from Toronto, Canada.
All right, Aaron in Canada. What's on your mind?
I guess you're talking about the Don Lemon thing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but could I quickly just say I got a real quick solution on how they could deal with the ICE situation and make the protesters
only if it's appropriate. Don't be inappropriate.
Of course, it'll definitely be appropriate. I'm not going to disrespect your show at all.
Mm-hmm.
So my solution is this, because they say that they are going after good people and all that, and not the bad people. So since Trump.
Yes. His phone went dead. Yeah, your phone cut out. And it cut out again.
Oh, okay. Oh, because I have you on the phone on the thing as well. I'm going to close it off.
Turn down the volume on whatever you're watching me on.
I swiped you away. I apologize.
Okay,
I
go
never
ahead.
do stuff like this.
Okay,
so
go
let
ahead.
me say again.
Mm-hmm.
So they say that they're taking good people, and that's why they're complaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is this. Since Trump has already closed the border, he says, okay, if you've been here for like 15 years and you have no criminal record, I'm going to let it slide. You guys could stay.
No,
because
that's called amnesty. Why don't we just? I'll tell you what. If you've been here, why don't we just send them to Canada, round them up and send them to Canada?
Hear me out. I agree with you. Listen, hear me out. That will just settle down the protesters for now, because that's what they're always crying about. You deal with the bad ones right now, and then later on you go and deal with it. Because I'm being honest with you, the illegal Mexicans that came like in the 90s and stuff, they love America. They came because they lived in a terrible place. The new ones now are coming to abuse America. They want to take advantage of things. The ones from before, they wanted their kids to be American. They wanted law and order.
Not at all. If you went to, I'm just texting with my daughter now. She's in L.A. visit. If you went to L.A., you would have a different view of that. No, that's not the case at all.
I did just go to L.A. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them came because they wanted to be American.
That was it. No,
stick to it.
No, they all need to go. What you're talking about is what the liberals want. They want an amnesty. We're not going to do it. But I don't want to talk about deportations and amnesty right now. I'm talking about Don Lemon.
No problem. But they shouldn't have arrested Don Lemon, because now he's like a hero to these people.
I don't think so. He needed to be arrested. What he did was violate domestic terror laws. What he did is so high. See, in Canada, you don't have freedoms like we do. In this country, we have a constitutional guarantee, freedom of religion and freedom to practice our religion.
For sure.
And
I can't wait till
he terrorized people in a church, and he conspired with criminals to do it. So no, I hope he goes to prison.
You're absolutely right, but he's going to serve no time. You know that. He's got high-paid lawyers. He's just going to make a big spectacle out of it.
Well, let him make he's already making a fool out of himself, and he can't stop talking. He did a podcast last night, so he'll do himself in.
I thought.
It's going to be a snowball effect. He's going to end up doing himself in. And remember, he got an indictment from a grand jury in Minnesota. Those are regular Minnesotan citizens who were called for jury duty that indicted Don Lemon. Regular people in Minnesota are fed up with these monster activists that are destroying their state.
Oh, I can't stand these activists. They're just doing it because they want to cause trouble. I agree with you. But Trump's got to focus on bigger things.
And a lot of them, yeah. Well, no, this is big. Listen, I'm going to run Toronto, but I appreciate the call. No, the deportations are one of the biggest things. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Dr. Knight out of California.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I pray that you're doing well.
Always.
I'm absolutely elated, but he did not spend enough time in jail. I can tell you for certain that once he ended up getting booked, he was completely isolated. They probably put a paper over the windows so that people couldn't walk by and look at him. He ended up getting released when? In the afternoon?
Late in the day,
Yeah, he probably didn't even get, actually in a cell until probably 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
But you know what? He has an arrest record now, and that follows you for life.
Yeah, he does.
So that will follow him for life, and that's not a good thing to have. And it's a federal arrest record, by the way, on serious charges. He could find himself on no-fly list without a conviction. He could find himself not being allowed to travel to certain countries. This is a domestic terrorism charge he's facing. This is a major crime. This is not some minor crime that he's charged with. Major crime.
I'm excited at the fact that that he's getting the consequences for his actions, basically. Mm-hmm. What I cannot believe is this perception that he is some just reporter that ended up falling into a church where everybody there just happened to be Caucasian, yes. And then there also wasn't any pre-existing.
Could you imagine if they pulled that in a black church? If they pulled that in a black church?
We would have a repeat of the Floyd. The Floyd.
Greg Gutfeld last night on the 5. Greg Gutfeld made a good point. He's like, I hope we don't get copycats like from Jim Acosta looking for attention, breaking in, and Joy Reid breaking into churches. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
The fact is that there was a lawyer that was with him as well. I hope she gets disbarred.
Yes.
I hope everyone that ends up deciding they even brought in Caucasian people so that he even said it, that you even heard this discussion on one of the videos that he had. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was contemplated, this was organized, this was it's absolutely disgusting. And the fact that the way that he presents this as he is completely innocent and that he's a reporter, this has nothing to do with reporting at all.
No, what he was doing, it was a lot of online influencers do stunts for attention, right? I mean, and some of them are dangerous. Like Mr. Beast was buried alive for a week, or things like this. People do very dangerous things to get views. And Don Lemon's podcast, even last night, no one is interested in his podcast or what he has to say. He thought he was going to be bigger than CNN. Because Megyn Kelly, Ben Shapiro, these people, and it hasn't been going well for him. And he pulled a stunt.
He's a failure.
Mm-hmm.
He's a failure. He was a failure at CNN, and he's a failure on his own, and now he's going to be a failure in jail, hopefully. And I can't wait, because what he did is absolutely disgusting, and I think what Jane Fonda did is absolutely disgusting, and I think anybody that supports what he did with this argument that he was just that's absolutely.
And I got to tell you, Jane Fonda looked like an old version of Miss Penelope from the Thunderbirds. If you guys remember the Jerry Anderson puppet production from the UK back in the 70s. Jane Fonda, who was all into that Jane Fonda workout and exercise, that's what exercise gives you when you get old. You look like that. She looks like John Merrick, the Elephant Man. I mean, that was, scary. I mean, she's making a good case against what did she do? Aerobics. Gee whiz, scary.
The fact is that the one statement that she almost, if you listen to her statement, she almost said that she made, or her husband made Don Lemon. I could almost see her saying
Ted Turner
sold
CNN so long ago. Did he even?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how long ago did he sell CNN? He's been dead for years. And didn't she divorce him, or was she with him when he died? I thought they got divorced.
Yeah, I believe they did. But she sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, she did. Pretty scary. Look at you. And you know what, though? I bet you that most of those press people didn't even know who she was.
How could you? She doesn't. She looks like every other.
Well, what I mean is, even when she said I didn't know who she was until she started talking, and I recognized her voice. But her voice sounds the same. When is the last time she was in a movie that you saw that was new?
I got a better one for you. When's the last time you ever saw her out in the daytime?
On Golden Pond, 1981.
Yeah. You have a great day. God bless you.
All right, take care. Take care. It's true. It's true. Oh, my goodness. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ, what's up?
Well, rice and bananas with a lemon wedge. I got to give credit to whoever that was in the chat. I saw that, and it was a pretty good chuckle. But that made me laugh a little bit. Doc from Texas made me laugh, but that's a little bit more of an ironic laugh at the insanity. If Don Lemon, they all should have been arrested. I'm glad they were. If to Doc in Texas and any other Democrat out there, if there are protesters outside your house and there's reporters out there covering the protest, and the protesters decide to break in, just walk up to your door, open it up, even if it's unlocked, open it up and walk in and start yelling and screaming in your house, does the reporter have the right to follow them into your house?
Exactly.
Interview you while you're holding your kids that are screaming? No.
Exactly.
He better do time. I mean, it's his first offense. I mean, I already see I can already, kind of see what the defense will, mens rea, he didn't know, all this, that, whatever. And I really hope.
I understand. Listen, here's the thing. On the face, I don't think people are looking at this right. Who's that analyst on Fox? Turley. Turley said, "Oh, he's a journalist, no conviction." I don't think they're looking at this too deeply, and I am here to tell you that I believe that he was one of the ones who came up with the idea to do it, probably to get this viral moment. And certainly involved in the planning, and that hasn't. And when that comes out, it's good. That could change everything. And so what if they don't? If
that's the case, Brian. If that's the case, if they can actually prove that, he is. I mean, I won't say that. I'll just say he's tattooed. Forget the first part.
Yeah, he's
tattooed.
He get in big trouble
if they can actually prove that. But
yeah. There's a lot of people that they can press. His cameraman that was with him isn't a millionaire, and I promise you, Don Lemon doesn't give a darn about his cameraman. And they put the screws to the cameraman, and you might get some of that information verified with a witness.
It's pretty obvious to me that he was 100% looking for that hype. he was looking with what do they call it, Riz. He was looking for the clicks, and he knew. I think he went there. If he didn't help them plan it, he went there with a plan to embed himself in some of this stuff, which is fine if they stayed out on the street. But that you went into a church.
Well, the way that he's trying,
going into somebody's house.
The way he's trying to present it is he was just driving down the street and saw these people in a parking lot and stopped in to see what was up, and then found out that this was going on. That's total BS.
Yeah, I think the video. I think everything that he's done. Bottom line is they entered the house. Like I said, my example of protesters going into somebody's private home. That's what you're doing. You're breaking into a home. That church is a private. It's a private home. It's like breaking into somebody's house for Doc. You're at home, Doc, and there's a bunch of MAGA protesters out there, and the MAGA protesters come in and start screaming and yelling about you're this, you're that. And reporters come in and start asking you questions, and telling you should try to listen to these people. Your house has just been broken into. Reporters
and
don't get to
and I'm
come
watching
into your
some
house.
of this analysis, okay? And people are saying, well, what about January 6th? Well, okay, you say January 6th, these people broke in and should be in prison. So what did Don Lemon do that they didn't do? And some of those people, they had YouTube channels and podcasts, so come on. And remember what happened? They arrested James O'Keefe in his underwear. They broke into his house and arrested him over the Ashley Biden diary. I mean, come on.
Yeah, the left does everything. They bend everything and break it. And then over here, when we try to do the right thing and go by the full color of the law, it just enforced the laws the way they were intended to be, written to be, interpreted. We're all of a sudden we're Nazis. That Philadelphia DA, that district attorney in Philly, oh my God! I know you. I'm pretty sure you showed him yesterday. The one that said we're gonna hunt them. They hunted the Nazis down after World War II.
I played that on yesterday's podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
They think they're going to have a Nuremberg trial for the ICE agents.
You think about that. That's the type of person. You think about the nurses. They're everywhere, Brian. It's not just in politics. There are nurses that are like that. We've seen evidence of that. There are teachers that are like this. Mm-hmm. There are judges, DAs, attorney generals. Look at Big Tish and whatever her name is in Atlanta. All these people. It's sort of like a mass insanity.
Well, but you know what? What Don Lemon can't help himself from doing, like, I'm going to play a clip after I end this call of him he went and did his podcast last night. Because he did this for attention, he can't lie low. So he's going to be doing his podcast every day. He's going to be doing interviews. He's going to go on national. He'll probably be on The View next week. And, and he won't be able to keep his mouth shut. And he's going to do himself in because he's going to keep talking.
And that activity right there is, I expect the same thing, and that feeds right into the narrative. That feeds into what I think. Feeds into what you were saying with regard to him planning it. If he didn't, I mean, that would be really, really good if they can prove that. But either way, he should do time for doing that. We got to start someplace with getting people back to reality. They this rhetoric from the DA in Philly. Violent rhetoric creates, mostly violent riots, which they call mostly peaceful protests. When you've got everybody out there on the Democrat side, basically given an okay that you can go out and interfere with federal investigations, that you can harass, that you can do what this guy, the nurse, did, and what Renee Good did, and all these things. That's happening because of the violent and the stupid, the insane rhetoric of the left. Mm-hmm. Bringing in Hitler.
That's right.
These guys are enforcing the law.
Exactly.
Somebody said to you about Hitler. They said they went around and they were picking up, people in Germany, and I'm like, we're sending people home.
Exactly.
Okay, they're in our home. We're just basically saying, there's the door. Mm-hmm. You're going back to your home.
Exactly.
They didn't do that in Germany. In Germany, they sent them to a real concentration camp.
That's right.
And they never left. We're sending the people back to their houses where they
Correct.
were born.
Well, listen, I got to move on, but I appreciate you calling. Make some good points. All right, take care, guys. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. We'll take a quick break and be back.
Valentine's Day's coming up. Skip the flowers that fade and give the gift that lasts every single night. MyPillow has incredible Valentine's deals on pillows, sheets, towels, and more. Perfect for the one you love or yourself. Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout for huge savings, or call 1-800-716-4879. Better sleep, better mornings, a better Valentine's Day. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code KANE. Planning a ski trip with your kids? Buying ski clothes they'll outgrow after one season can be expensive and stressful. That's why families are choosing Skits Ski Wear Rentals. Kids ski gear shipped to your door. Skits offers complete ski clothing kits designed just for kids ages 3 to 14. You rent instead of buy, and everything arrives at your home before your trip. Clean, warm, and ready to wear. Choose the Skits Boys Kit or Skits Girls Kit, including a waterproof jacket, insulated snow pants, bib, gloves, goggles, pharmaceuticals, and cold weather accessories, all with free shipping. After the trip, just send it back. There's no storage, no shopping, and no wasted money. Make your family ski trip easier this year. Rent before you go. Visit skits.co. That's SKITZ. Skits Ski Wear Rentals. Kids ski gear shipped to your door. Skip the stress and gear up for less. Skits.co. Do you believe the craftsmanship still matters? Then visit DivineEscapes.com. Based in Pennsylvania, DivineEscapes.com specializes in natural stone hardscaping built the way it's been done for centuries, using dry stone masonry techniques that rely on physics, balance, and experience, not shortcuts. Every project at DivineEscapes.com begins with the land itself. Each stone is hand-selected, shaped, and set with intention, combining traditional standards with original artistic design. The result is stonework that doesn't just decorate your landscape, it belongs there. DivineEscapes.com uses locally sourced stone whenever possible, reducing environmental impact while creating features that feel natural, timeless, and enduring. From flowing stone patios and mosaics to sculptural walls, boulder benches, and one-of-a-kind stone art, every piece is crafted with precision and expertise. If you're looking for something authentic, built to last, and unlike anything else, you'll find it at DivineEscapes.com. You'll also find great gifts too. Go right now to DivineEscapes.com. View the inventory and see what natural stone can become. DivineEscapes.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. All right, let me play a clip here. This was after he got out of jail yesterday, Don Lemon.
People are realizing the critical moment that we're in this country, that our rights are under assault. It may have started with people
Now, by the way, people are giving him super chats and things like this. Like this woman here just gave him a $20 super chat. He's worth $20 million. Okay, why are people giving him super chats when he's worth $20 million? Some of these people aren't even thousandaires, and they're giving him super chats. Isn't that crazy?
having their due process rights violated on the streets, violently violated on the streets. But now they're trying to silence journalists, and I will not be silenced. And I think journalists should not be silenced. I think this is a very critical time for journalists in this country to stand up to this tyrannical administration.
See, this is what I was talking about with the last caller before the break. He can't shut up. This is going to be everything he talks about each and every day. You know, these household name influencers, all they talk about are themselves or what others are saying about them. And that's what's going to do him in. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. If you're watching live on YouTube, the number is pinned in the live chat. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Howdy, this is John Brown from Kansas.
No, John, you called yesterday, and you're okay. Yeah, there you go. No, John Brown, you're not welcome here. Your call yesterday, you said very inappropriate things, and that's not going to be permitted here. All right, here he is, Don Lemon, upon his release.
I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. News.
Yeah, see, and that day in court, whenever that is, you know, all these interviews and everything that he does are going to be used against him, okay? They're going to be used against him. And believe me, because he's going to have new things to say all the time, right? because he's going to have new things to say. He's going to start revealing more and more and more. And then eventually he'll say something and oh, no, that contradicts what he said in his statements to the police. Where's this going to go? Okay, now this is, I want to play this clip. This is Jim Acosta with that Mike Fanone, the Capitol police officer.
Watch what happens when a 50-year-old man
I got to go
walks
through a commercial here
DHT
before I can
naturally
pull it
for
up.
just
Hold
90
on.
days.
Let's see here. Okay.
American drivers on SNAP.
I hate this when I have to go through the when I have to go through the commercial to get to the video. Okay, yeah, this is Jim Acosta. He's got Michael Fanone on, and they're talking about Don Lemon. And this Fanone guy, he's a real classless guy.
Yeah. And I'll say right now, I mean, Trump likes to fuck with Don because Don is black.
Yeah.
Come on. Really, Jim Acosta? Nice language.
And we just need to say that too.
Yeah,
Trump is racist, and he's always attacked Don in racially loaded ways, calls him stupid and things like that. And it's disgraceful. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, the administration is racist. The entire administration, the MAGA agenda, their political agenda and their cultural agenda are racist. Yeah. I mean, we've seen that play out in almost every aspect of this administration. So, yeah, I mean, but it's it just pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, boy, there's some deep commentary with Jim Acosta and Mike Fanone, huh? Oh, my goodness. I'm glad they have lent their analysis to this breaking news.
And people need to stay
story.
pissed off.
Yeah, we need to stay pissed off. How about we just stay turned off to you? Oh, my. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Donald Trump is a pedophile.
Okay, there you go. That's what we're going to get. Oh, I want to remind you all that if you would like to support my channel, support my podcast, support my YouTube channel, support all my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening to me on, to my Patreon page. And when you become a Patreon, you get access to exclusive things. As an example, right before yesterday morning's morning live stream, I did an exclusive Patreon live stream just for Patreon supporters. It's a no troll zone, and it's on the Patreon platform. If you're a Patreon supporter, I left that live stream up. I usually just leave them there. You have to catch them live, but that one I left up, and you can check that out. You get access to commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes. And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen here on YouTube, and you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SF Jr., Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, Lee Zepp, Shauna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, and Doris. These are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. Again, the link to my Patreon page is in the description of this and every episode. And you also get access to things that my wife Kathy and I post to Patreon that we post nowhere else. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you next time. Take care.